Welcome to the Online Edge podcast. We are deep into the coronavirus. Many people have turned into zombies. Some people have turned into beer. And we wanted to take a couple minutes and talk about that today as because kind of what do you do from a marketing perspective? First thing, before I'm going to transition to you for a little bit, because we're going to kind of bounce back and forth a little bit. We're not doctors. We're not telling you what I actually do have a little bit that we'll talk about that in some shape, form, or fashion is going to fall underneath cleanliness practices and that kind of thing. But I'm only saying that from kind of a PR marketing standpoint. I have no idea. I'm not a doctor. I'm not married to a doctor. I don't even go to the doctor very often. So I know nothing when it comes to the actual medical practice side of this thing. But I do have some best practices to kind of talk through from a marketing perspective.
Cool. So let's just hit it right off the bat. So do you think there's going to be specific industries that are going to really capitalize on this? And then what are the industries do you think are going to really focus in hard and that might take a hit?
The ones the second question is kind of the easiest one to talk about first, because industries that require groups to get together, so group fitness, retail that's like in a mall or something like that large amounts of people gather, it is going to take a hit. So the bottom line is, again, we're not subscribing to everybody's going to have it tomorrow or nobody's ever going to get it. We don't know. But what we do know is that there's a lot of kind of fear in the air right now, and already people are. I mean, NBA got suspended last night, kind of indefinitely.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We don't know. They canceled games last night, like moments before games. So when stuff like that starts happening, people start realizing like, oh, hang on a second, this is really, really serious. We're shutting down travel to Europe starting Friday, I believe. Big things are happening. And as a result, I mean, right now I heard from a client this morning, her daughter was home on spring break and their college canceled classes, moved them online is what I should say, for the rest of the semester. So for a few months, and so she was home on spring break, left all her stuff up, kind of packed a couple of clothes for a couple of nights. Everything's still a couple thousand miles away, and she came home for spring break, and all her stuff's back there, and the school shut down. So that kind of thing maybe start happening more and more, and so in the meantime, because if we shut down the ability to kind of gather in groups of larger than 10, which is possible that we're kind of heading in that direction. In the meantime, I think that there's a couple of things that we can do. So let me talk to that for a second, and then let's talk about the capitalizing right after that. So first is communicating the things that you're doing for cleanliness. We're not telling you what to do as far as the cleanliness side of stuff is concerned, but what the steps that you are taking to be careful, to have your clients or customers be careful. I would communicate those things because it comes across as you are on this and you're paying attention and you have the customer in mind. And so, restaurants are going to be another one that are going to take a pretty immediate hit. If I'm a restaurant owner, I am taking steps to letting my customer base know these are the things that we're doing. Maybe you're putting hand sanitizers on every table. Maybe you are taking extra steps with your staff to making sure that they are washing hands even more often. Maybe you're taking extra steps with food. I don't know, but those are the types of things. And whatever industry you're in, most of the people who are listening to this are not going to be in the restaurant industry. Whatever industry you're in, communicating the steps that you're taking to keeping your customers safe is a big part of managing this marketing-wise, PR-wise, and really even customer service-wise. And so I think those are some of the opportunities. I think those are some of the ways that we can get ahead of some things and communicate a care for our customer past just the bottom dollar. It's going to cost you more money to do those things. It'll cost you more money to get extra hand sanitizer and all that kind of stuff. But those are steps to take that will make your customers that much more confident, and really beyond even that, feel that much more cared about. And those are, the way that you make your customers feel confident, cared about, is going to translate directly into their perception of you moving into the future. And so I think that there's going to be industries that are going to botch this. They're going to treat this like it's a not big deal. And I think that in doing so, you're going to find customers that feel like you care more about your bottom dollar than you care about them. And that's a mistake that we can make.
What do you think the best way companies can communicate that information? Is there a specific place they should be putting that out everywhere? Is that the answer? Is everywhere they should be putting that out? Is it an email? Is it flyers like on the door when the people are coming in? Is it social media? What is the best way that people can get that information out, that they're really taking this serious, and really caring about the customer?
In some shape, form, or fashion, all the above is the answer. I wouldn't do the same message in all platforms, because some messages make sense in some places and other places. So if you may have a flyer on the door, you may have a person standing greeting people as they're coming in, kindly walking them through what best practices are, maybe asking them to use hand sanitizer before they walk through the doors of the place, things like that. I walked into a business yesterday that there was a little bit of a screening process in walking in. They asked me a few questions, and they did so in a way that I didn't feel isolated. I felt cared about. They handled it well. They were well crafted questions, and they were explained before the questions got asked. It was like, hey, this is we're going to ask you a few questions. Here's why. So I didn't feel like they were trying to push me away. I felt like they were trying to keep me and others safe. And I think that's an important distinction to make, because some people are going to freak out so much about this that it's going to feel like people are kind of pushing you away as opposed to bringing you in. That's one way. I think there's some creative ways of doing it. I think that just simply communicating, period, is a really good thing. Some of these are common sense, and yet we all know that phrase that common sense is not so common. And so it is important, I think, to find ways, non-condescending ways of communicating very, very common things. And I think that's going to be important, especially for those of us who live in or near large cities. I mean, we just so happen to be 30 minutes down the road from one of the highest traffic airports in the world, with DFW. So it's I don't know if it's the busiest, but it's got to be top 5 busiest airports in the world. And so there's a whole lot of traveling taking place, and there are people who are afraid. And so little steps like this can make people feel a little bit more confident in your business and your brand. And I think that kind of answers both questions. I think that's where some of the opportunity is that much more care, going that much more the extra mile, that much more. We have a HVAC client who called me yesterday and is discounting home air filters.
Oh, nice.
So where everybody else is putting hand sanitizer on Facebook, bottles on there that they bought for $1.50 for $25 on Facebook Marketplace, he said, hey, we're going to have more people reach out about this. And so I think he cut the price by like 30% or something.
Wow.
Because he knows he's going to get more phone calls about it, and he wants to help families who might not have been able to afford it otherwise to be able to afford it. So instead of using it as an opportunity to kind of
capitalize on the situation,
double the price. Yeah. He went the opposite direction. And little things like that communicated well, let your customer know, oh my gosh, this guy, I mean, it wasn't an opportunity to capitalize when he called me saying, hey, how do we communicate this? Because there's going to be a lot of people out there that are interested in this. I'm going to get the same amount of calls. I just want people to know that we're not taking advantage of the situation. We want to serve in the situation. And so little things like that are like, my gosh, that's a great way of standing out in a moment like this, letting people know that you're willing to go the extra mile for them.
Nice. Okay, here's the last thing I had, because I'm going to be really curious about how this plays out in the long term. Corona beer.
Yep.
So we already know they've taken a big hit.
Yes.
What is your thoughts about them recovering from this? And then what do you think they need to do from a PR standpoint to kind of get out ahead of this to try to recover
Okay.
from
So
this whole situation?
here's what I would be doing if I had an opportunity.
Because I think this is a good opportunity for other people to see that, you know, sometimes stuff happens and it's out of your control.
Right.
But you have to respond to it in the right way to be able to overcome it, because there are different things that just happen that could either make or break you. And this is a chance for them right now to either shut the doors or thrive.
Right. So statistics would tell us that just under 1 in 5 people watching this think that Corona is responsible. It's Corona the beer is how you catch the coronavirus. They tanked, I think, in sales well over 10%. The first week this became real big national news. I'm assuming it's been more than that since then. I'm not a crazy heavy beer drinker. However, I did get together with a friend the other day and called him up and asked him. I was picking up a 6-pack on the way. I said, "Hey, what do you want me to grab?" He goes, "We just need to grab Coronas now because we're trying to help these guys out." So we grabbed a 6-pack of Corona for that night.
Oh my gosh.
So there's twofold here. One, they got to be really clear, and they have been clear through some press releases and that kind of thing. This has zero to do with us. This is, I would have almost made a funny out of some of those things at the very beginning of it, because it wasn't big in America at all at that point. In fact, when it first started happening and they got blamed for it, there were no cases in America. At that point, humor would have been appropriate. At this point, it's not, because there are legitimate cases in America, and it doesn't seem to be like people are guessing it's going to escalate. And so I wouldn't take that route at this point. At this point, I would figure out how to use finances to serve, and how to use my PR team and that sort of thing would all be aimed towards. This is a situation where it's actually hurt us. Let's acknowledge that. But we want to use this time where we're kind of hurting a little bit to help heal others, because the world's hurting right now. And I would take that and kind of flip it. And again, and there may be another time where it's appropriate, where the humor side of stuff is appropriate. We've joked around here that maybe that cures it. Maybe Corona's the cure to coronavirus. That's a joke. Clearly, that's not the case. But maybe I start a new rumor, and their stock triples over the course of the next.
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah, there we go.
From everybody watching the podcast.
So, I don't know. I think that anytime you can take a situation that hurt you and turn it around and use that punch,
the negative to make a positive.
I think that people. The vast majority of people see that kind of thing and are like, oh my gosh, this is a company who most of us realize it's a little silly to blame them for something like this.
Yeah.
And yet if they're willing to take a negative and go empathetic with it, we talk about that a lot. Being empathetic to your customer base, I think that would be a great opportunity for them right now. And so I would be doing whatever I could afford to do to be serving customer base that we're hurting at this point in time. And it's not just them as a company. A lot of times we think about these big companies and think like, oh my gosh, they can afford it, blah blah blah. But this is a trucking industry that takes this stuff in. These are individuals who are brewing this stuff, and this is way more than just some big boardroom full of people who it's like they can afford to take the hit. This is affecting a lot of more industries than just their business.
Yeah, trickle down effect.
I mean, they're absolutely, and so our heart goes out to businesses that get hit like that, because it, again, that means less trucks are running. That means that potentially sales are going down for retail locations.
Manufacturers.
Period.
I mean, it's such a wide
of
outreach.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think that's a way of getting out ahead of it. I think it is more than just communicating obvious stuff that we didn't have anything to do with this on a consistent basis. I think it is, and they may already be doing some of this stuff, but that would be the direction I'd be thinking.
Awesome.
So
cool.
We wanted to make this a short one. Again, anytime that something like this happens, communication is so key, and communication is such a big part of marketing efforts anyway. And so the more that you can communicate, the more that you can get out in front of stuff, and the more you can take moments like this and double down and say, man, we're going to serve our customers like never before, the better that you're going to come out in moments like this. And really, again, this is all about getting out ahead of things. And there's going to be a lot of people in whatever industry that you are a part of that don't respond well to this. If you can be one that does, it's also going to positively affect the bottom dollar. So thank you so much for watching, and we cannot wait to see you guys next Thursday.